sing a song just to express the gratitude I have for both being here, but seeing the faces of those people that have presented me over the years in the Southeast. And thank you for what you do. I know it's a labor of love, and I'm just grateful to be able to make my living going through your spaces and working for you. So thank you. Thank you for that. And feel free to clap at any point. Don't hesitate, because it just makes it go better. I have a new album out. I'm going to sing you a song. It's called The Battle of Charlottesville. And it is about that day that we all know about well, I'll let the song tell it. I think you guys have been there, so you know it. General Robert E. Lee is sitting on a stallion right in front of me. The town says they're gonna take the old statue down. So white supremacists come sneaking through the streets like something out of Genesis. Can't believe my eyes. Neither side is gonna back down. When the war you're fighting for is born out of something disgraceful, you ain't fighting honorably, generally. Friday night out on parade with their citronella tiki torches. People left their porches to block the way, and you could hear the hate in the words they shout. The cameras got their faces for the torch blew out. Couldn't believe my eyes. Neither side is gonna back down. When the war you're fighting for is born out of something disgraceful, you ain't fighting honorably, generally. On Saturday, a protest was canceled. A helicopter crashed, it got too hard to handle. 2 cops died, skirmishes broke round town. 3 lives blown out like candles. A president who loves a scandal. He wouldn't take a side, though people died and had their hire got mowed down. When the war you're fighting for is born out of something disgraceful, you ain't fighting honorably, generally. For 150 years we've come so far, but you haven't moved an inch. We will not flinch. There's no one here to lynch. When the war you're fighting for is born out of something disgraceful, you ain't fighting honorably, generally. Generally. So I'll just tell you my story, and I'm hoping that it'll resonate with some of the younger people in the audience, and I'll tell you what the arc of my career was like and how I'm dealing with where we are now compared to where we were when I started. When I started this whole trip, it was in Boston, and I just started playing guitar. I went to Boston College, and really got deeply into Dylan, and kind of discovered him. I wrote a bit of a outline for this on the back of a lottery ticket, which is a good lesson number one. Just be prepared, but do play the lottery. So there was this open mic thing that was happening in Boston, and almost every Unitarian church had a folk club in it. Almost every bar had an open mic. God bless you, Unitarians. Where would we be without you? From Tampa to New England, that's all, seems like all I've played, actually. And never say I'm not a church-going person, because I definitely get my time in them. And the great thing about Boston at that time, and I was just born into it. I was so lucky, as you guys know, that lived in the Cambridge, Boston area. There was just an amazing amount of people trying to break into the folk scene. I'd be sitting at an open mic, and Dar Williams would be scratching into her notepad, and Patty Griffin would be putting her guitar into an open tuning. Daryl Scott would be noodling in the back. And one by one, they'd go on stage, and I'd have to follow them. And they'd have to follow me. And it created this incredible friendly competition where we were always trying to outdo the other person and sharing songs and creating community around each other, which is essential to success, because those people do become Patty Griffin, Dar Williams. Some of them become movie makers. Later on in my life, my manager created community. His name is Ralph Jacketing, with Peter Fairley. Got high with him on Martha's Vineyard in the 80s. Thank you. And they became friends, and Peter Fairley eventually became one of the biggest producers in Hollywood. And so when it became time for my music to get out in the world, Ralph sent the music to Peter Fairley, and I got to have the theme song to these major motion pictures that were creating a lot of buzz around my music in the 90s that I couldn't have gotten any other way. I also had a friend coming up, Christian Bush, who's now in the band Sugarland, who are multi-platinum artists and Grammy winners, and they've recorded my songs. So look at the person next to you, you young'uns, and these other creative people who are around you, and recognize that as you grow up in this scene, those people are growing up with you and providing access for your music to go out into the world as well, and treat everybody with that kind of kindness and respect. Yeah. Yes. So community, I just want to, I've already given a speech much like this at NERFA, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I do want to talk about how important community is to the young people that are coming up. And you're creating it by being here, you're meeting people, so I know you're proactively creating that. But I feel for those songwriters that are, in Manitoba and Kansas who don't have access to other songwriters, and they're not as lucky as you. So take advantage of what you have and grow with your peers. Be competitive, but share information, share songs, get feedback on your material. Just saw a guy named what is his name? ADN, W-A-D-N. I've forgotten his name already. Anyway, there's all these people in my life that I owe thanks to, whose names I've forgotten because I'm getting older. And I should definitely make sure I shout out to them. In the early 90s, I got signed to Rounder Records. Yes. And I put out 7 records with Rounder, which was great, and that helped establish sort of a national presence for me. Now, we don't have those label situations now like we did in the 90s. It's harder to come by a label that's willing to risk putting money into a singer-songwriter, although people like Compass are great at it. And we have to do this job ourselves in a lot of ways. I just put out this record on my own, but I've had the benefit of having 30 years of creating inroads and making friends and creating community around my music. So when I did a fundraiser, it raised well over $100,000, and we had about 1,000 people contribute, which is spectacular, which is probably more than Rounder or any label would have invested in me. Right. They'd be like, what? We're not going to do that? Why would we do that? So, I'm grateful for that, but that involved, hitting the road hard and investing in a group of people who love my music. When I started this job, I just wanted to be a singer-songwriter, a touring singer-songwriter, and that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to just get on the road and tour and write songs. That was my job, and that was the dream, and that was the romance of it. But what it's become is I'm a one-man media company, really, and I have to put my creativity not only in songs, but in Facebook posts and Instagram posts and all these other things that I don't really like to do. In fact, I fucking hate it. But it's a dirty necessity, is it not? Am I right? And then a few years ago, after 19 records, and I could feel a sort of staleness coming on in my career, because it's been a lot, and a lot of it was on autopilot, including me. And I was closing in on 50, and I realized I had to just reinvent the whole machinery around me, and I fired my manager, and fired my booking agent, fired my old self, and said, what are you going to do that's different, and how are you going to do it better? And because I'm facing middle age, and this doesn't go out to young people now, this goes out to you people. You know who you are. What do you do with yourself when you're hitting your 50s and 60s and you want to still be an artist? I feel like I still have so much to learn. I have so much room for improvement and a greater understanding, not only of songwriting, but of how the world works and what the world is telling me and the time that we're in. We are in a seriously fucked up time. And our job as presenters and as songwriters is to challenge the time we're in with art and soul and heart and creativity. That's why you're here, and that's why we should be grateful for SERFA. People often ask me, what kind of song do you think I should be writing? Like, what should I be chasing after? And I keep on saying, just write about the world you're in, the world you know, the world you see. Write about the firsthand experiences, and do it with heart, and don't be afraid to speak your truth and the truth that you see, because that's going to be the core of your career. As I'd said previously, my core audience is about 1,000 people that would do anything for me. They've given me $10,000, $5,000. They'd throw themselves in front of a bus for me. They'd come to see me 20 times within a single year. As I tour around the country, I play to about 30,000 people in about a fiscal year. I hit festivals, and I'll do the venues. I'll do about 150 shows a year. In the bigger picture, I have about 300,000 people who've bought my records over the years. And they know me as Ellis Paul, but they don't know my music deeply, and they've been to see me a few times in their lives, maybe even just once. And then beyond that, there's about 3 million people that know one song of mine, pretty much by heart, but they have no idea who Ellis Paul is. They've heard it in movies, and they go on YouTube, and I can base these numbers all on my YouTube hits, which is the measuring stick for success now, so at least that's what I'm told. So, my trick now is how do I reinvent myself? So this time around, I decided that I wouldn't let anyone else produce me, that I would produce myself for the first time after 20 records. So this album was the first time I've ever had a complete hand in all of the arrangements and the musician choices and the art design. And then I decided that I was going to put it out myself as well. So I've taken that money and hired a great team of people to produce it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it does. Part of the trick to being good at fundraising is you got to come up with sort of smart marketing campaigns. My record is called The Storyteller's Suitcase. That's why I brought this on stage. I feel like Carrot Top. So this is what fundraising people get in the mail. It is a tiny little storyteller's suitcase. Let's see what's inside, okay? Of course, the record is on the inside. The record is a 40-page book. It's a hardcover book that has illustrations and photographs. And it also has a coaster that you can put your drinks on. It's got a journal for songwriting. That's right, thank you. This is a flask. That's right. 2 golden tickets to any Ellis Paul show in the continental U.S. It's got a USB guitar with my entire catalog of songs, 320 songs on it. A greeting postcard, and then this is the storyteller's pen with which you're supposed to write songs. It's got a soft nib, so you on a touchscreen phone you can maneuver around it. It has a little notch so you can watch Game of Thrones with your cell phone upright like that. It's got a screwdriver. I just broke it. It's got a screwdriver, both Phillips head and normal. It's got a compass on one end that just fell off it. And then last but not least, if your life is lost, it's got a light. So, and you know, I sell about 6 of these a night, and they're upwards towards $200 a piece. And there was a time in my life where 1/3 of my income was generated out of sales in stores and off stage of CDs. And poof, that 1/3 of my income disappeared in around early 2000s. And it seems like I've spent most of this century trying to come up with ways to keep that income in my life, and these creative things are one of the reasons why I've been able to survive and continue and to do this. And because I have children, so necessity says I have to feed them and send them to college and get ready for retirement, and I need that income to be steady. So I need to constantly reinvent what I'm doing, because the shows in of themselves aren't enough to accommodate the needs of my life financially. I want to show you a couple other things that I'm doing. I have 2 children's books out. They're all based on music. This is put out by Albert Whitman and Company out of Chicago. It's a bunch of educational songs in line with Schoolhouse Rock, and it won the award from Scholastic for the best book for teachers in the year it was released. So it's. And then this is a Christmas book based on a Christmas song. I'm letting you know that because I want to show you how I'm using my creativity to make my living, because I know a lot of you are struggling with the amount of money that you're making as a touring artist, and how do I do this? How do I do other things in order to make money? I also teach songwriting classes and mentor people online. I've got 2 posters. This one is an editing poster for songwriters that I teach at my retreats. It's called The Incredible Editing Wheel. And then this one is as well. There's another one over there that's on performance. But these are things that I sell online and that I use for teaching, and it's been really successful for me. And I also teach and mentor people on Skype in order to make a living.
Is that your artwork?
It is my artwork too. And the CDs and the posters are free. You can just help yourself as you're walking out. What else did I want to say? Songwriting is, it's a necessary passion. It keeps depression out of my life, keeps darkness out of my life. I know when there's a weight on my shoulders as I'm traveling around, that it's because I haven't finished a piece of music in a long time and I need to get back to my work. And I know that a lot of you are like that somehow music is a savior. It's a sound that works like Prozac in your soul, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to continue to record and play for you people and have it continue like this. Not too long ago, this last week actually, I was playing in Logan, Utah. A dermatologist had hired me to play a cancer fund drive. And he said, I'll take a look at your skin as part of the deal. And he paid me quite well. And he said to me, how many hours are you in the car, like a week driving? And I said, 30, probably 20 to 30, somewhere in there. Because he could see, and you can see it on me, that the sun damage on my left side of the face and on my neck is so intense compared to what it is on the right. And one of my suggestions to you is sunblock, if you're going to be in the car a lot. So this is fine. I'm healthy. I'm just letting you know that the sacrifices of driving in the isolation in the hotel rooms, they add up over time, as you know. I watch my heroes here walking on stage, and I know they've been through it ahead of me, and I hope I can continue to keep on doing this and keep on playing for you. And I'd like to end with this song, and we'll call it a day, and I'll let you get back to your thing. Okay. Well, by the way, before you clap, if you see him in the hall and you just want to ask me a question or make a comment, please do. I'll be here all day. All right? I wrote a song, it's called The Storyteller's Suitcase. And it's about songwriters, about the life of songwriters. I packed my storyteller's suitcase with a whiskey bottle, a notebook, and my songs. I met barstool damsels, tomcats working a midnight scandal. Take me home, brother trouble will be coming along. If you're gonna ride this gypsy highway, town to town, singing rhymes. Just when you think you're gonna lose yourself, you'll see your name up on a neon sign. He packed a suitcase, oh, the storyteller's making the rounds. Oh, it's never gonna settle down. Motels, hotels, 2 a.m. Ring the stranger's doorbell. Sleeping like Caesar, sleeping in no barnyard. You'll meet country stars with mini bars, stowaway women laying back on your car, lovers and brothers woven in a midnight dream. It's a circus life. You're a one-man big top, the barker, the lion, the flames. You fall into a hotel pillow, just hoping they'll remember your name. He packed a suitcase, oh, the 'cause every year they come back again. And again. Spotlight, it's a sold out night. Others so empty you can't start a fist fight. Then a crowd of angels walk into a concert hall. It's a circus life. You're a one-man big top, the Barker lion of flames. You fall into a hotel bill, just hoping I remember your name. Packed a suitcase, oh, storytellers making rounds. Oh, it's never gonna settle down. All right, thank you, folks. Thanks so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of SERFA.